Hey guys, Chris, Enthusiast TV. Today we're going to do a video. It's a little different. I'm kind of going to do a review video of the C5 Corvette. Yesterday marked exactly 1 year since buying the car. I really wanted to do this yesterday, so it was as true as could be, but I got busy. We're going to go over the good and bad things, the issues I've had in that year, kind of talk about the people that should buy a C5 Corvette and maybe some of the people that shouldn't. That was fun. Some of the things you can expect if you do buy a C5 Corvette. You can expect people to think that your $15,000 to $20,000 car is worth $100,000. Oh my God, I can't believe you drive one of those. It's so crazy. You spent something. People don't realize it. They see Corvette, they see a bright colored two-seater, they think you're a millionaire. I'm a poor mechanic who makes YouTube videos for fun. I don't even get enough views to make money on YouTube. So at the end of the day, you're gonna get a lot of older fellas to talk to you. They've all got a Corvette story, their buddy, they had, whatever. So here's some older fellas be like, man, I'd like to take that out and find me some women. I'll tell you right now, way more guys have talked to me about this car than I've ever had girls approach me. So, they're definitely a dude magnet, but there is a community that comes with the Corvette. You know, you have your Corvette way, you have Corvette meetings. I actually started a local Corvette club on social media that's not big, but we do some cruises and go to local businesses and grab a couple drinks and, you know, talk about cars and have a good time. I was always a Mustang guy. You get on the Mustang social media pages and you're gonna get a lot of everyone talks smack to everyone. That does exist in the Corvette groups. Mainly revolves around New Balances and whether or not someone drives a manual. But for the most part, there's a sense of community, even on social media with all your keyboard warriors, that aside from maybe Harley Davidsons and Jeeps, I've never seen anywhere else. So that is definitely a plus side of being a Corvette owner, and that doesn't matter what generation you have. You might have caught the little bit of wheel hop when I came out of the neighborhood. I will say that used to be much worse. I did do the HPI differential brace, and it greatly reduced it. Now I can kind of get out with a normal launch and it not wheel hop too bad, or I dumped the clutch maybe at 3,000 RPMs whenever I pulled out. You could take it up to 5 or 6 now and it just smokes the tires and doesn't hop at all. It's only when you're somewhat in between spinning and traction now that you get a little bit of wheel hop on the end, but it's nowhere near as violent as it was. As most people know, it's a pretty common problem with these cars, but it's a simple fix, and a little bit of clutch work makes it non-existent. Figured I'd do a little bit of the video while actually out driving the car, just to show you guys that I really do drive it for no reason. But I love the car. I mean, it's fun to drive. It makes for a good touring car. We've taken it on, you know, 1,000-mile, 1,500-mile round trips. It's been to Panama City Beach. It's been to Gatlinburg 3 or 4 times. Ripped it around Tail of the Dragon. You can fit mine and Kristen's stuff in the trunk, and she doesn't back lightly, and go somewhere for a week and have room for a boogie board. And it does reduce your trunk space if you put the top down, but with the top up, I mean, you could do a whole camping trip in this thing, as long as you don't have to go over any big bumps to get there. But it's comfy. It has good, great gas mileage. On the highway, you can run 75, 80, 6 gear, and get 30 miles a gallon. I mean, it's almost the most efficient car we have. Fun to drive, you know. In its time, it was a fast car. When I was in high school, these cars were brand new, and man, were they awesome. Like, it's kind of the reason it made it to one of my bucket list cars. I wouldn't necessarily call the C5 Corvette a dream car. I feel like a dream car is something that isn't obtainable. You can get a C5 Corvette for, even in today's market, for what you're getting for the car, a great price. I have zero regrets about buying this car. I probably couldn't afford one in today's market, but it's just fun. It's a driver's car. It's something that if you just enjoy driving and you've never driven one of these, it's definitely something that you gotta do. To be 20-year-old technology, sure, there's some issues, but man, like, you can't go wrong with a C5 Corvette. It's just a fun drive. I mean, you ever seen somebody not smiling while driving their Corvette? But they're easy to drive. They're a real good time. We are going to head back to the house. I'm going to talk about some of the negative aspects of having a C5 Corvette. Depending on who you are, those negatives could be way worse. It just depends on what you're looking for in a car, really. Okay, so we have some real common C5 issues that if you're looking into buying a C5, you've had a C5, in general, you're a car enthusiast, you've probably heard about some of these issues. Excuse me, just had some breakfast off the Blackstone. It was amazing. But I bought the car. I had the car 2-3 weeks, took it out, romped on it real hard. You know, of course, first Corvette, I was having a blast with it. Fired it up a couple mornings in a row, started getting some belt squeal. I was like, I better look at this harmonic balancer. It's not really a balancer, it's a dampener. Anywho, I knew it was a common issue. Straight as an arrow when I looked at the car originally. 3 weeks later, it's moving. It's moving bad. So, looking back, probably should have did a cam, probably should have done the oil pump, timing chain, did it all. I was already halfway there. I didn't. I bought the Summit balancer, the extra ribs in case you want to add a power adder later on. But I put the balancer on, new oil seal, new ARP bolt, put the car back together. I just wanted to keep enjoying it. I don't regret it now. I know how to do it. It sounds like a big job when you look at it. Steering rack's got to move. Subframe's got to ease down for the steering rack to come out. It's not that big of a deal once you've done it. I think I had 6 to 7 hours in the whole job doing it on jack stands in the garage. Now, probably 4. That's a half day's work when you're a mechanic for a living. So it's not that big of a deal to do it yourself. That was problem number 1. That's probably the most dramatic thing I've had happen to the car. Driver's window, after a few months, wouldn't roll up and down unless you opened the door, did a little research, realized that the pins in the plug in the accordion between the door and the body sometimes kind of back off. They start to lose connection. I pulled the accordion back, unplugged it, took a dental pick, got behind the pins, kind of bent them up so they made a little bit better contact. A little bit of dielectric grease. Haven't had a problem since, knock on wood. Fuel gauge, every once in a while, bottoms all the way out to E. You know you got a half tank of gas. You stop by AutoZone or you find a Chevron with Techron, get the Techron fuel additive, add it in there. The next time you fill it up, your fuel gauge is going to work again. It's easy. Some of the best things about buying a 20-year-old sports car is, even though they have their problems, with the world we live in today, with the internet, everyone has had those problems. Therefore, everyone has figured out the simplest way to fix said problems. Turn signals. They quit working, you hit the hazard button, turn it back off, they'd stop working. They make a little bypass. It took 10 minutes, 40 bucks, plugged it in, signals work perfect. Not a big deal. Oil pressure sender. Oil pressure goes, I think it stays at 130. Best way to check that, turn your key on in the car. Don't start it. Oil pressure goes straight up, you know you got a bad sensor. Some people do cut a hole in the cow to get it out. That's lazy. Just pull the fuel rails, pull the intake, sensor's right there, get to it. Then you know how to switch intakes later on whenever you find a good deal on an LS6 intake. Not a big deal. I did one time, went out, started the car cold. I was taking my brother for a ride, went out. It's probably 30 degrees outside. Didn't really let it warm up. Laid into it first, grabbed second, hit third, rev limiter. Pedal stuck to the floor, eased out of it, pedal came back up. Known issue. I had done the Ranger method when I first got the car to clean out the clutch fluid. Didn't really think about doing it again. Clutch fluid was dirty again. Did the Ranger method again. I will later on add the tick quick bleeder when I have to, but until then, synthetic brake fluid's dirt cheap. I just got to the point that I drive the car once every couple weeks. If I know I'm gonna be driving it all weekend, suck out the fluid that's in the reservoir, put in new fluid. It keeps itself clean that way. I can buy a bottle of brake fluid once every few months if it keeps that from happening and never worry about it. They're particular. They're particular about little things. They're 20-year-old sports cars that were a little ahead of their time, which also put them in a position to experiment with some things. They will have issues. You're gonna buy a car, everyone wants to get that 30, 40,000 mile C5 Corvette that some old man has parked and driven 4 or 5 times a year since it was new. That car is gonna have issues. That car is going to have bushing issues, the balancer, stuff that, hey, I haven't moved very much in the past 20 years, and now I'm moving every day because it's a fun car and you're gonna want to drive it. That's the thing. If you want to deal with that, get that low mileage Vette. I get it. That's what I did. Don't be scared if you're Corvette shopping to look at the 100,000 mile Corvettes, the 120,000 mile Corvettes. There's not much to the drivetrain, and by that point, most of your small issues, it's on its 3rd, 4th owner, they've been repaired. Someone has already fixed that. Someone has taken and did what you're wanting to do with your low miles Corvette. Save yourself some money, get the cheaper car, put up some money, build an engine on a stand in case something does happen to the LS that I've seen with 250,000 miles that they're still out there drift tracking it. Don't be scared of a higher mileage Corvette. Get one that's been slightly modded, drive it. It's not that big of a deal. If you insist on getting a lower mileage Corvette, you either A, need to not mind spending the money for someone to make repairs, or B, you need to be a do-it-yourself kind of person who's willing to get on the internet, jump into some of this stuff, and do it yourself. Learn how to work on your car, or you need to already know how to work on cars. If you're neither one of those people, you're going to end up with a Corvette that you buy, and within a few months, something minor is going to happen. Most of the time, it's not anything that's going to keep the car from driving, but if you want your Corvette to stay nice and stay original, You've got to do it yourself or pay someone to do it. There's no way around it. If you just want to buy a Corvette and beat it into the ground, I'm not a purist when it comes to some things. I don't care what you do with your car. If you want to buy your Corvette and go out there and straight drift track it every day, do burnouts and run it into the ground, the less Corvettes there are out there, the more mine's worth. Go for it. You had fun. It was worth it. Do what you do. It's not going to hurt my feelings. As a matter of fact, send me some links. I love watching people do burnouts in their Corvettes. I'll watch your video. I'll subscribe to your channel. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, I've learned quite a bit over this year of having my Corvette. I have zero regrets. I would buy it again in a heartbeat. Maybe not in today's market. I got lucky. Got mine before the spike. Paid $12,500 for it. It's a real nice car for what it is. I've had offers. I've had people, you know, you could get 20 for it now. Then I want to buy another one, or I'd want to buy a C6. Then I'm going to be out another 10 grand. I'm going to keep my car. It's paid off. It doesn't hurt me. If it sits, it sits. If I drive it, I drive it. But again, like, subscribe.